Okay, well, this is Ed Brown. He and his wife have been convicted of tax evasion for refusing to pay Uncle Sam. They're holed up in their New Hampshire home, threatening violence if the feds come to arrest them. This is Ron Paul. He is a Republican congressman from Texas, and he's running for president of the United States. And he says that those people who won't pay their taxes should be compared to Gandhi and Martin Luther King. He's here to explain. All right, these guys are holed up in there, and they're heroes to you. Right, Congressman?
Wrong. I've never said that, because I preach nonviolence. That's what Martin Luther King preached, and that's what Gandhi preached. That's what Lysander Spooner preached. So no, I don't advocate violence at all. And people who resist the law and challenge bad laws, which I think the IRS is, they're capable of passing and regulating bad laws. So people have an obligation, if they feel that there's an injustice, to stand up, but they have to bear the consequences.
So, Congressman, you're not saying Ed and Elaine Brown can be compared to Gandhi?
I never said that. Matter of fact, I know very little about that case. I've never talked to them. I don't know the details, and I think that there's been some misstatements made about that.
Okay, so you did these statements that you did apparently linked to that. You're saying that is not the case.
No, because I've never advocated violence. I don't believe in violence, but I believe in civil disobedience.
Okay.
But you have to do that with the realization that you could end up in prison. But, you know, we're talking about laws that are unjust laws. We're talking about an unconstitutional approach to collecting taxes.
So you don't believe that you don't believe anyone should pay taxes?
Well, I think if you don't like the tax law, you should change it. That's why I run for Congress, and that's why I run for the presidency, to get rid of the IRS, because the assumption
No, these guys are going one better, though, Congressman. They don't want to pay taxes.
Well, I don't want to pay it either. I'd like to get rid of the IRS. I want to get rid of the income tax. I want to repeal the 16th Amendment. But you have to realize, and let me finish, if you will, the system is worked unconstitutionally, because everybody who challenges a law is considered guilty because, and they have to prove themselves innocent. They start off with a guilty plea. That's the way the tax code works. And I challenge it on constitutional basis. I challenge it on economic basis. And I just don't think it's part of the American spirit. We've only had this income tax for a small number of years.
Congressman, I want to be clear. So you're saying you're against taxes?
No, I didn't say that. But I'm against the income tax, and I'm against most taxes.
Understood. Understood. Okay. Now these people.
I'm for limited government. I'm for limited government.
I got you.
So
You've been consistent on that. I'm sorry, sir. I want to stick on message here, because these folks, Ed and Elaine Brown, have said, and I quote here, all police officers today in this nation are mercenaries, talking about the threat that the police might try to force them out of their home. They are all guns for hire. What do you think of that?
Well, those words that I wouldn't use, and I don't know anything about what they're up against, because I don't know the case. I'm just opposed to the tax system, and I want to change it. Some people will do it my way legislatively. Others will do it by practicing civil disobedience, but they have to realize what the consequence could be. And just think of it, see if you can comprehend how Martin Luther King tried to change some very bad laws. And I think we have some very bad tax laws, and I want them changed.
But Congressman, if everyone in the country were to say, I'm practicing my civil right here to say taxes are wrong, I'm not going to pay them, pretty soon we wouldn't be able to pay for that building you're standing in. We wouldn't be able to pay for your salary. We wouldn't be able to pay for pretty much anything.
Well, what did he do before 1913? How did you think they built this building? Do you think they built it with the income tax? They built it with borrowed money in the 20th century, and the Federal Reserve, when they print the money when they need it. So, yes, I'm challenging that whole system.
All right, so you would be for, all right, Congressman, so if we get rid of the income tax, if everyone in the country takes some sort of pride in what Ed and Elaine Brown are doing by saying they object to income tax, everyone did that at the same time, we'd be in a hurting way, wouldn't we?
Well, no, we'd be probably in a way where the politicians would have to respond to the people. If everybody's doing it, it means the government's not responding to the will of the people, and the will of the people right now on the side of, they're disgusted with our tax system, they're disgusted with the IRS, and they're disgusted with the monetary system.
But is the solution, Congressman, to say, I honorably object to paying my taxes, so I won't? Is that the solution? Do you endorse that solution?
This is what, yes, I do in the Martin Luther King tradition, in the Lysander Spooner tradition, in the tradition of Gandhi, because they practice peaceful resistance in order to bring about changes, and they have brought about miraculous changes in our in society over the many years. So there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's in the American spirit. Why be placid and passive and say, oh yes, you can be guilty of a crime and you prove yourself innocent? That's what the tax code does. It's about time the American people stood up and say that's not part of the system.
So if you were president of the, all right, Congressman, if you were president of the United States, would your first statement be on January 20th, look, you don't have to pay income taxes, nor should you?
No, I wouldn't do that, but I would certainly work with the Congress the proper way and get the Congress to pass a law to change it and to repeal the 16th Amendment. So no, a president, you're always making the assumption that a president is an authoritarian. A president should be responsive to the government and to the Congress and to the people. But the Congress, a president like myself, even though I would believe this, I couldn't do it, but I would try to persuade people to do it, just as I do in the Congress and just as I do in campaigning for the presidency.
All right, Congressman, thank you very much. We'll see what happens to the Browns. All right, we come back. Paris